Your closet has a half-finished scrapbook in it. Your laptop has bookmarks for a coding course you quit at lesson 6. You bought running shoes 3 months ago and used them twice. Last week, you were convinced you'd start a side business. This week, you're researching how to flip houses. And that voice in your head keeps saying the same thing. Why can't you just stick with something like a normal person? Here's what nobody's telling you. Normal people are in trouble. The ones who picked one career and went all in, they're sitting ducks. Your brain has been building something psychologists call the M-shaped mind. And while everyone tells you to focus and pick one thing, your nervous system knows the truth. In the world we're heading into, specialists go extinct, and your chaos, it's actually your superpower. But first, I want you to do something. Look around right now. Which unfinished project is staring back at you? Drop it in the comments, because I guarantee you're not alone. That shame you feel when you look at those projects, it didn't come from nowhere. Someone put it there. You grew up watching one simple pattern. Pick a career at 22. Do that thing for 40 years. Retire with a gold watch. Done. Your parents did it. Their friends did it. The doctor stayed a doctor. The teacher stayed a teacher. And it worked. Because back then the world was what psychologists call a kind environment. The rules stayed the same. What you learned in 1992 still worked in 2015. It was like playing golf. Practice your swing for 10,000 hours and you win. So when you started jumping between interests, everyone had the same reaction. You lack focus. You can't commit. You need to pick something and stick with it. But here's the problem. That advice was never about helping you. It was about creating predictable workers for a predictable system. Your brain doesn't buy it anymore. And not because something's wrong with you, but because you're noticing something everyone else is missing. We don't live in a kind environment anymore. We live in what's called a wicked environment. The rules change constantly. A recent study found that 65% of jobs existing today won't exist in 10 years. Skills that took a decade to learn get replaced by an app overnight. The people who bet everything on one skill, they woke up worthless. In a wicked environment, the specialist is fragile. One industry shift, and they're obsolete. Your brain saw this before you did, so it started pushing you. Learn this, try that, pick up something new. You're not avoiding commitment, you're avoiding extinction. And that feeling of being behind, it's about to reverse. Let me show you why your brain works better than theirs. When specialists see a problem, they use what's called near transfer. They solve problems they've seen before using the same old tools. It's fast, it's clean, but it's also limited. You do something completely different. You use far transfer. Here's what that means. Imagine there's a problem at work. A specialist project manager attacks it with the usual playbook. Spreadsheets, meetings, risk assessments. You see it differently. Maybe you spent 2 years as a rock climbing instructor before you ever touched an office job. Sounds totally unrelated, right? But rock climbing taught you how to read complex systems in real time, how to find the path of least resistance, how to assess risk while staying calm under pressure, how to know when to push forward and when to retreat. So you solved that work problem using principles from a cliff face. And nobody in that meeting room even thought of it. That's where the breakthroughs happen. That's where innovation lives. Look at history. The guy who invented the computer mouse studied poetry and calligraphy before he touched engineering. The biggest leaps in artificial intelligence came from people mixing brain science with math with philosophy. Nobody creates new things by staying in one box. New things happen when you smash different boxes together. And you've been smashing boxes your whole life. Every random hobby you picked up gave you another way to think, another angle nobody else has. Here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. The specialist is an endangered species. The generalist is the apex predator. You're not behind. You're playing a completely different game. And your game is about to be the only one that survives. Now here's where most people get stuck. They understand that being curious is valuable. They get that mixing skills creates new ideas. But then they look at their bank account and panic. Because while they've been exploring, their college roommate became a senior vice president. Their cousin is now a lead engineer making 6 figures. And they're still figuring out what they even want to do. This is where the shame hits hardest. You feel like you're starting over every 2 years, while everyone else is climbing. But you're measuring yourself with the wrong ruler. You're not shaped like them. They're T-shaped. One deep spike of expertise with some general knowledge at the top. That's the shape everyone celebrates. You're M-shaped. Multiple spikes. Multiple areas where you've gone deep, connected by a bridge of curiosity.
Pause for a second.
How many different career paths or serious hobbies have you tried? Drop that number in the comments. I want to see how M-shaped this community really is. And here's the trap that kills most people like you. You try to build all those spikes at the same time. You want to master photography and launch a business and learn data analysis and write a book all in the same year. So you split your energy 4 ways and collapse. The people who actually make this work, they practice what psychologists call serial mastery. They build in seasons. Maybe your 20s were about art and music. You went deep, you got good. Then in your 30s, you needed money, so you learned programming. You didn't quit art, you just finished that season of construction, one spike at a time. But you never abandon the old ones. They stay there, waiting. And eventually, if you're patient, something incredible happens. They start connecting. Let me tell you about a guy named David. He's 48 now, and for 25 years, he felt like a complete fraud. In his 20s, he was a professional pastry chef, spent years perfecting technique, won awards, the whole thing. Then his back gave out. Couldn't stand for 12-hour shifts anymore, so he taught himself web development. Took him 4 years to get decent, started making real money again. His chef friends thought he abandoned his passion. His developer colleagues thought his cooking background was a cute hobby. David felt split in half. Then in his 40s, he got obsessed with teaching, started creating online courses. But David kept going. Cooking knowledge, coding skills, teaching ability. 3 separate worlds that never touched. Until one day they did. He built an online platform teaching culinary professionals how to create cooking content for social media and YouTube. The coding skills helped him build interactive recipe tools. The teaching experience made the lessons stick. The chef background gave him credibility nobody else had. His platform exploded. Major culinary schools started licensing it to teach their students the business side of modern cooking in the digital world. David didn't force those worlds together. He just protected each spike and let time do the work. That's the M shape in action. You don't rush the merge. You just keep building and trust the process. But there's one more piece that makes you truly bulletproof. There's one last thing your brain has been doing that nobody talks about. It comes from evolutionary biology. It's called redundancy. In nature, redundancy keeps things alive. Elephants almost never get cancer. You know why? They have massive genetic redundancy. Multiple copies of cancer-fighting genes. If one fails, another kicks in. Your random skills work the same way. Imagine you're a software engineer and AI takes your job tomorrow. If that's all you know, you're terrified. You're scrambling, you're rebuilding from zero. But what if you also taught rock climbing for 3 years? What if you know how to repair motorcycles? What if you can translate Japanese? Suddenly, you're not scared anymore. You've got options, real options. This isn't about being mediocre at 5 things. It's about having 5 different foundations you can stand on when the ground shifts. And the ground is shifting faster than it ever has. The world is punishing people who only know one thing. Companies disappear overnight. Technology replaces entire departments. Industries collapse while you sleep. But you've been preparing for this without even knowing it. Every hobby you picked up and dropped wasn't wasted time. It was insurance. It was building a safety net made of skills that ensures no matter what happens, you have a pivot ready. You haven't been dabbling, you've been engaging in strategic adaptability. The M-shaped person, you're not just surviving the change, you're creating the jobs that replace the old ones. You were never supposed to be just one thing. You were built to be the bridge between worlds that other people can't even see. So stop apologizing for your unfinished projects. They weren't failures. They were semesters in a university you created yourself. And yeah, the specialists are going to call you unfocused. Let them. They're just protecting a sinking ship. The specialists are running out of time. But you're just getting started. And here's what nobody tells you about the next 5 years. The companies doing the hiring right now aren't posting jobs for specialists anymore. They're hunting for something completely different. Something you already are, but haven't learned to recognize yet. If this connected with you, drop a heart emoji below and subscribe for more psychology that actually makes sense of your life.